Good morning everybody and welcome to our presentation. Here you can see a summary of what we are going to talk about.
First, I'm going to talk about the mainstream approaches to management and leadership. When studying workplace behaviors, leadership and management are crucial. Management refers to the responsibility of maintaining task division and coordination, which is mostly accomplished by creating a hierarchy to control and regulate allocation and workflow, whereas leadership focuses more on motivating employees through commitment. When talking about leadership, it is often seen that leaders who started an organization exercise some management skills, such as coordination, for example. But also management involves qualities which are associated with leadership, like the ability to inspire respect. Leadership is related to organizational structures in which individuals are more inspired, listened to, facilitated, and involved. It has everything to do with collaboration and creativity. Secondly, I'm going to talk about fuzzy boundaries. The definition of leadership and management, as well as the boundaries between them, can be helpful, but they can also be deceptive or misleading. Traditionally, management is associated with the maintenance of established organizational structures, while leadership is associated with the growth, revitalization, or restructuring of those arrangements. The definitions of management and leadership are very complex and change depending on the context. When thinking about leadership and management yourself, you can easily see how these two overlap. An individual who is considered a good leader can also be considered a good manager. Furthermore, little or limited commitment to the organization can both frustrate and encourage attempts to strengthen management and leadership among managers and employees. But management and leadership stretch well beyond the workplace. It happens often that individuals find themselves managing others or being managed.
The mainstream agenda is the approach which maximizes performance. The key is to work on how to manage and lead, as well as how to improve staff training and selection. During all of this, the focus is on how to support managers meet their goals instead of taking a critical approach as to how they may be identified. Management is an important discipline to this approach. It measures planning, control, and responsibility. Therefore, management deals with all kinds of personal and social problems, the function being how forms of activities are organized. Without the function of management, chaos is predictable. Management as a social group acquires and applies specialist expertise. During the 19th and 20th century, the discipline of management was accelerated. The mainstream knowledge of management assumes the value and legitimate place of management as a social elite. Here, a feature of its classical thinking may be the belief in the possibility of specifying a single way of organizing. Henry Fayol, a classical theorist, created a list of principles with 5 components to systematically analyze. This is the left picture. Modern thinking about management, however, emphasizes the particular circumstances in which management disciplines and functions are applied. Open system thinking allows flexibility and a wide range of factors which interact. The modern management guidelines are seen on the right.
This section proposes 3 management styles: Theory X, Y, and Z. Theory X believes that employees have a negative motivation for work. As a result, managers think that employees need to be promoted, rewarded, or punished constantly to make sure that they completed their work. So we call this style of management is hard. Theory Y believes that employees have a positive motivation for work, so managers use a decentralized participative management style. This encourages a more collaborative, trust-based relationship between the managers and their team members. And Theory Y, organizations also give employees frequent opportunities for promotion, and we call this style of management is soft. The management grid is a development of the Theory X and Theory Y. It is a behavioral approach towards management and leadership. Depending on manager scores on each of 2 axes, you can assign different types of management style to the managers. And we can see from this grid, the middle of the road is the best option. So what do managers do? We can use 3 main overlapping roles to describe their work. They are interpersonal, informational, and decisional. Managers often take on many overlapping roles as we show in this figure. For instance, when holding an event may involving information on how to allocate resources, and the negotiating process may involving a liaison with others and the supervision of the performance. So the conclusion of this section is, although the theories X, Y, and Z try to determine the best management method, these studies only provided a window for the management practice. In the practice, it is very difficult or even unsuitable to use any single method. Therefore, the managers need to choose method according to the different situations.
Then we move on to the key ideas and contributions on leadership. So what is leadership? Compared to management, leadership emphasis upon directing others through inspiration and motivation. Rather than command control reliance upon hierarchical position, leadership is seen as consisting of three parts shown below. The first part is personality traits. Leadership tends to be associated with personal qualities such as determination and focus and dedication, so on. And for transformational capacities, leaders are considered to have the qualities needed to inspire and redirect employees to solve problems and achieve the goals. This also allows leaders to take multiple forms and styles of leadership to get things done. Now I'm going to introduce you various approaches to leadership. So the first one is situational theories. Leadership needs to reflect the situation in which it finds itself. Depending on the situation, the leader of a group may change as the situation changes. Next one, consultative style of leadership is a process of discussion in which followers participate in shaping opinions, making policies, and making decisions about the distribution of tasks and responsibilities. Last one is a laissez-faire, which implies that each individual is left to do their own things, whereas it is clear that very considerable responsibilities are imposed upon each individual by a leader or actively embraced by all members of a group.
I will go on with major issues in this field when talking about mainstream debates. Contingency theories of leadership such as feelers are theories where the leadership style is adapted to the current situation. Broom and Yatton and Broom and Jago also added possible outcomes for the future. This kind of leadership style suggests including the long-term effects on employees' motivation and commitment. It also concerns the time which is needed for addressing problems as well as using different leadership methods to solve them. Autocratic, consultative, or in a group where the leader is a chairperson. Broom and Jago's contingency approach discussed three kinds of regulations where different leadership styles should be applied. If the dimensions or regulations are unclear, a democratic or participatory style should be used. Fellowship studies deal with the relations employees have with the leader. Those should be considered when choosing an appropriate style. Also, the consequences a leadership style might have in the future should be well considered. The mainstream approaches to management and leaderships are really wide. In the following, I'd like to summarize those. The terms management and leadership have different meanings, where management is associated with maintaining existing organizational arrangements, and leadership is connected to innovation and transformation. Management is seen as an organizational function and leadership more as an individual attribute. Also, management is more linked to administrative coordination and control. Leadership is connected to inspiring and motivating people. The limitations of the mainstream approaches are derived from previous approaches. More participative management styles have developed, but inequalities like the gender pay gap still exist. The term transformation is often being used, but its intent is to renew established practices and not to transform them. While democracy is one of the most important parts in modern society, it does not really appear in organizations. Leaders don't need to explain themselves and can make their decisions without talking to others. The goal is to minimize inequalities in power, to adapt organizations to its environment, and to support consensus. This brings us to the end of our presentation, and we hope you enjoyed it.